Welcome. It's another edition of Catch a Memory Outdoors right here on WWBC 1510 AM. We appreciate you guys and gals tuning in every Saturday right here to Catch a Memory Outdoors. Want to say good morning to my special guest this morning, Capt. Tony Summers. Tony, it has been way too long, and you know, I didn't realize how long it had been since I'd had you on the show, but you told me it was 2019.
19, yeah.
That was the last time.
I didn't realize it had been that long either.
We got to fix. We got to fix that.
We'll
we got to fix that, brother.
Definitely an annual thing for sure.
Well, for those of you that do remember Tony, that you've been listening that long, it's been a couple of years. As we mentioned, Tony is an outstanding bass fishing guide. He also does some saltwater fishing as well, and you've taken on a new endeavor now.
I have.
I mean, it's to me, I look at it from a business standpoint, and I'm thinking to myself, man, I should have done something like this. I should have done something.
I started reading the market and the tourism last year, and I could kind of see it, or at least thought I was going to predict it, and luckily I did, because come this year, I mean, it's down 30-40% for us as far as, those guys that generally freshwater bass fish, like anything around Disney, the whole tourism thing in Central Florida has gone down quite a bit, and we've doubled the number of guides in Central Florida.
Oh, easily doubled.
So
I mean, everybody's a guide.
A lot
now.
of hands out there reaching out for those trips. So,
yeah. And everybody trying to undercut everybody else. Like that's a good business model.
Plus there's that whole stigma that the dealerships have kind of given out, as much as I hate to say that. But so there's a big window for me to do some wiring, boat rigging.
Do some other things. Yeah. So you decided to open up a boat rigging and re-rigging business.
Mm-hmm.
And so now there's no shortage. Absolutely no shortage of guys that need their.
Oh, absolutely.
Even like me.
Not.
I mean, I look at my boat. My boat came from Skeeter Boat Company. Okay, but I've had Pathfinders in the past, and I've had Skeeters in the past, and I look at how they come to me from the factory, and I'm just like, I mean, how many monkeys did it take to do this? You look at some of the stuff, and you just go, really?
Yeah.
I'm paying $150,000 for a boat, and I get this? And I'm not just picking on those two companies, because
no, it's across the board.
It's across the board.
Oh, from
everybody
bass boats to saltwater. I mean, everything. I've seen it all. I've seen it all, especially anything the last 4 years.
Well,
terrible.
because we now have the excuse that COVID this and COVID that, and it's given us an excuse to do shoddy work,
to cut corners.
Yeah, shoddy work is what it is, and I don't know. So on a day that the fish don't want to bite for my clients, COVID. It was COVID. It had to be COVID. Is that the excuse that I use now?
Fish still remember, right?
Yeah. They weren't vaxxed. They were vaxxed. I don't know. You take your pick. COVID did that. COVID ruined the bite today. Is that the? Do we legitimately get that option as well? I'm just wondering here. You're
definitely standing on the right box. What's going on in the world right now? Yeah.
I can't do my job properly because
wild.
Yeah. But you've now opened MarineTec, and that's TEC. Because there's another one out there, TECH, which I Googled when I was first.
There's a couple, yeah.
When I was first coming to bring my boat over to Tony, I typed it in, and I'm like, no, that can't possibly be it. That's in the other direction of where I know you were. Where you were at. So, but so you've opened up a new business, and you're flourishing because there is such a need for the type of business that you just opened.
Mm-hmm.
And that's awesome.
Really not very many specialized electronics. I mean, there's plenty of shops that do installs,
right?
Things, but not that specialize in electronics and the wiring, or in rewiring and making things look the way that it should be. Yeah. I'm no expert by any means, but I just have a real good attention to detail and the patience to do it right. No matter if I build somebody for 5 hours, but it took me 15, I'm still going to do it right, no matter what.
Right. Well, that's and there, like you say, there's such a need. It's across the board. It's every boat out there could use some attention. some detail oriented attention to it, because some of the stuff that's coming out of the assembly line, it's like the quality assurance guys were just home.
I'm
They
kind of
weren't even
board
there.
too. There's other guys branching out who work for major companies who are doing their own thing, fiberglass guys, trailer guys, things like that. So there's more and more companies popping up with the same mindset, so it's nice.
Which is a good thing, because
Yes.
we're not stuck with the status quo. It's now, okay, we have options, and it's nice to have options, because you can weigh your options and see, do I want to take it to this person, or do I want to give this other guy a try? His work looks pretty good. I'm seeing him on social media. I'm this and that, and he's showing a representation of what his product is looking like when he gets done with it, and that's the way I want my product. That's the way I want my boat to look. Now let's kind of go back for a minute, because you still like to run fishing trips.
Oh, I still do trips. I've got one after today. I've got to leave. I got to do the show and then run back to Orlando, grab the boat, and get some bait.
Get
go to the water.
To the water, huh?
Yeah.
So how is the bass fishing in Central Florida right now?
It's still pretty good. Up until about August, when it gets really, really just dog hot in the summertime. But right now it's still really good. Kind of dependent upon the day. But now we've hit our start of the rainy season, so it's cloudy, overcast, things like that, and the fish are hungry again. It's been a little bit of a lull the past month.
I was gonna say it got really hot in May.
It just gets
hot
really
and
tough.
clear skies.
It's a little more consistent now.
Yeah.
I mean, the fish are still transitioning into, consistently staying out in deep water, but they're still out in general zones, out away from the banks for the most part, running around chasing bait. So a lot of schoolers.
So they're looking for the shad this time of the year. That seems to be the main forage, shad and
Definitely
shiners.
focus on the shad right now.
And so you want to find the water that has that type of bait in it. It's kind of like us running the beach. We're running up and down the beach looking for pogies right now, because when you find the pogies, you find the fish. They're all around the pogies. So it's a direct correlation from freshwater to saltwater when you look at predators versus bait.
Mm-hmm.
Find the area where the bait is, and you're going to find those predators.
Yeah, and they're definitely grouped up in kind of offshore spots. As far as they seem to be in bigger groups right now. But a lot of the lakes that we fish in Central Florida are covered up in hydrilla right now. So
Right.
that's one thing you can do as well, is also fish in the heavy grass and heavy cover. As far as penetrating the grass and punching and flipping that vegetation, it's a good technique to do this time of year.
So that's more of a midday type of a thing.
Typically, as
Maybe
far
the
as
morning. Maybe the morning you got a little
penetrating
flurry.
the grass. Yeah, as far as punching the grass, things like that. Typically, once the sun's up, then they suck into
They
that
get into
vegetation.
that cover. Yeah, it's like me, man. I want to go find a palm tree or something to stand
Yeah.
stand under. I don't want to be out in the middle of the sun. It's interesting to see how those fish do relate to the amount of heat and sunlight that there is during the day. Because in the morning time, right now it's beautiful out. I mean, if I was out on a freshwater lake right now, I'd be throwing me a little, prop bait or a little topwater or frog,
Definitely
or some kind of
topwater action.
some kind of something,
For sure.
But come noon, that's you can cast that thing 100 times and never get a strike on it.
What's funny is they'll actually still hit topwater midday in certain areas, like in the right vegetation. They'll still come up to the top
Really?
and eat a frog or like maybe a popper or something like that. If you're throwing it real slow, you have the patience to throw it, and let it sit 30 seconds
Before you
Come up-
pop it again? Yeah.
But definitely still fun to get out and fish right now.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not much of a freshwater guy. I grew up doing that, but golly, the last 25 years or so, I really haven't done much in the way of freshwater fishing, with the occasional here and there in a pond, taking the boat out, that kind of thing. Just not really focusing on that. In fact, not focusing on that at all. It's been strictly the saltwater game for me. But right here in Brevard County, we have some really, really good bass lakes. I mean, we've got the Headwaters Lake.
Mm-hmm.
The Stick Marsh isn't as good as what it was. Garcia's not as good as what it was, but they're still fishing.
They still produce. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the St. Johns River. So right now, the St. Johns River being as low as it is, if you have the ability to, like, you got a skinny running little John boat or a little flats boat, and you can get to the bends in the river, it's game on.
Yeah.
Every bend in the river is deeper than the.
Got the little pockets.
Yeah, and I mean, I was talking with somebody the other day about fly rodding for catfish, because they're all packed in these little
You're probably
holes.
good right now.
And there's nowhere for them to go.
It's the same thing as like on the West Coast in the back of a creek on a low tide. It's the same scenario.
Same scenario.
You can get back there. Your arm's going to be tired.
Yeah.
You're leaving. That's for sure. Yeah. It's definitely like that even now.
Yeah, so we do see that throughout the St. Johns River. And I was talking with somebody the other day was running. They were talking about running. It might have been Kyle Weaver talking about running an airboat, and it was like, nah, there's a lot of places right now that because of there's muck, there's mud and muck,
Stuck in it.
and you can get stuck in it in the airboat. It'll get a suction on the hull.
Okay.
He says there's plenty of grass that you can run like up the bank, and then there's a little channel in the middle of the river that you can run, but some of those normal areas where you'd be running the airboat is not.
You just don't want that brown stuff in there.
Yeah, you don't want to be anywhere near it right now. So that's kind of interesting. But talking about the water level in the St. Johns, has the water level in the lakes over in the Orlando area? They've got to be down, but are they down as much as
They're
like the
down a
St.
couple
John
feet,
is?
for sure, yeah.
Okay.
Well, plus the KCOL, the Kissimmee Chain of Lakes, which I
Right.
fish a lot, Lake Toho.
Toho
and
and
they
Kissimmee.
started letting stuff out in May or June, depending on the year, early.
Mm-hmm.
So unfortunately, it's been low there for a while, like way too early. So they do it like pre hurricane season. They'll start letting water out, so it's almost dangerous low out there trying to come around.
Now
But yeah, pretty much as a whole, everywhere is down. I mean, everywhere.
So looking at like Lake Toho as an example, West Lake or East Lake, which one do you prefer to fish?
Definitely West Lake.
You like West Lake better, okay? So that's the lake that I've fished on. When I fished, I've never actually fished on East Lake. So West Lake Toho, if that water is down 2 feet from what it normally is, when you're running from one side of the lake to the other, are there hills and shell bars and things you have to watch out for? Or
it's not that bad on Toho itself, but trying to run the chain south, it gets shallow. If you're trying to get into Cypress, which is the next lake down, or Hatchinahia, which is like the lake after that, and it can be pretty skinny. There's definitely sandbars for sure. You got to watch out for
things you got to look out for down there.
Definitely.
And then Lake Kissimmee.
Lake Kissimmee, it's kind of the same way in a few spots there too. So you've got to set down early before you get to the bank in a few spots, and then kind of idle in or troll them.
Because you're only dealing with 20, 22 inches of water, or
Yeah.
yeah.
A couple feet of water. They come way out. They're just, those lakes are just shallow bowls out there. So, that sand starts 100, 200 yards out in some spots.
This is like fishing the flat.
Yeah, it's very similar.
I mean, you don't run up to the bank and shut down. Yeah.
No. And also, when the water gets that low, a lot of times it'll pull the fish out anyway. So you're really not having to fish up against the bank anymore because the fish have pulled out because the water got so shallow. Now, there's times of the day, typically in low light conditions, that they will pull up into the skinny areas like they would in the flat.
Right.
But for the most part, that lower water, as it's dropping, it's going to start pulling the fish farther and farther out to the outside edges.
Because they want to be in a certain depth.
They like a certain
water.
depth or water temperature, whatever factor is that they like.
Yeah. Well, guys and gals, we're going to take our first break. If you want to get involved with the show, we would love to hear from you. Give us a call here at Catch a Memory Outdoors, 321-632-1000. That's 321-632-1000. We're going to be right back with Captain Tony Summers and myself, Jim Ross, after this break. Welcome back. This segment of the show is brought to you by LambDeck. If you haven't tried the LambDeck product, you need to put some on your boat. I'm telling you, you are going to be impressed with this particular EVA non-skid product. It makes everything softer to walk on. It's so easy to clean up. We use the Starbright deck cleaner on it, and it just cleans right up like it's regular non-skid almost. Been a really good experience for me on both my 240 and my 2350, And hopefully you guys and gals will take advantage of it as well. Even if you don't do the whole deck, just do the helm pad, because just driving around in the boat, it will save your knees and ankles and back at the end of the day. You'll feel twice as good as you did just standing on hard fiberglass. So check them out. Go to lamdeck.com, or you can check them out on the socials. LAMDECK. That's Lamdeck EVA non-skid. Guys and gals up there do a great job. So, Tony, I was kind of thinking this morning, you run and work on a lot of bass boats, and bass boats have carpeting on them, and that makes for a much more enjoyable end of the day experience than standing on a flats boat or standing on a bay boat, hard fiberglass deck. And I was just thinking to myself, actually on the drive in this morning, that the EVA Lamdeck EVA non-skid is like having the carpet, but it cleans up so much easier.
It does, yeah.
I'm surprised.
I've on my boat. Another company, but yeah.
I was gonna say, I am so surprised that every company is not using this type of a product instead of carpeting. It's kind of.
Yeah, I'm surprised more don't offer it.
Yeah.
Ranger boats had it 5-6 years ago or more, where they had it where they offered that as a package, like a coastal edition. Where the deck was covered
because they make like a bass boat that's
also saltwater edition, the coastal edition. Yeah.
Non-skid.
It's just non-skid.
Yeah, as opposed to carpeting.
I'm surprised more manufacturers.
The intracoastal or something like that they called it. Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I saw a boat this morning actually speaking of social media. They had a carpet and decking mix. So it was like the inner was the foam pad, was the decking, and the outer was carpet. Looked really, really good.
Huh.
A buddy of mine who's in Canada. So I'm gonna reach out to him and ask him how he did it, because I want to do a boat in there.
Well, and the other thing is it would be interesting to see, does he like the EVA portion of the decking better, or does he like the carpet better?
Well, the problem, because I did it to a boat years ago, where I stripped all the carpet up and I put the decking down.
Right.
But you've got a 3/4 inch gap between the lids, so that's part of the difficulty of doing the decking on the bass boat, is the gap in between the lids to allow for the carpet to close.
Okay.
So that's sort of the difficulty. So I don't know if Lamdeck does it. Well, I actually did a snap down rather than the stick.
Okay.
So it's each piece had snaps on it. And
like a cushion set.
Yeah, in a sense, but then they overlapped the gap, so it was one solid deck all the way across.
Interesting.
Yeah, that was the way I did that.
Okay, so they didn't cut out for each individual hatch lid. They just said, okay, here's the total area of the front deck, and we're going to snap down over the whole thing.
No. So each piece had its own, or each lid had its own piece set over the lid, but it's just they overlapped the gap, so it made it look like it was one solid piece.
Understood.
Just because each side,
Understood.
all the sides touch.
So you had a little drip edge, rain gutter, if you will.
Exactly. Pretty much.
On the edge of your house,
Definitely better than the carpet.
The eave was hanging out a little bit. Yeah. Okay. All right.
For sure.
And how did that work for you?
Always.
I mean, did you like it better than the carpet?
A few times I left, a couple pieces unsnapped and they blew off. But it was great. I mean, if something happened to a piece, I could just unsnap it, order a new one, snap it back on.
Yeah.
Ready to go.
I've been really happy with that product on my boat. I just, at the end of the day, you get off and you just feel so much better. You don't feel beat down and wore out. Yeah. And it's just got so nice on your knees and your back at the end of the day.
It's the knees and the back, for
sure. Well, hey, we want to say good morning to some of those guys out there that are listening in. Orson Tarver's on there with us. Danny Gomez is listening in from Virginia. Herb Fogg says good morning. Mike Kipp up in Daytona. And let's see, Tony. Oh, met Captain Tony at a wakeboard event a couple of years ago. Mike,
how's it going?
Yeah, Mike Kipp says that. So.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Mike.
Sean Scribner Sr.'s watching this morning. Carl Harmon, and good morning, sir. And Danny says, we were talking earlier about, throwing topwater, and he says, definitely a frog. He's throwing a frog and a pop-R right now. Darren Bolton, Jesse Dance is on with us this morning. Bo Bergeron. Let's see here. He says, I live on the St. John's. What is it with boats after midnight and no mufflers?
Oh, or the airboats too. I'm sure. Out there.
Yep. Getting on it
That's the toy of choice out there.
Oh, it is, and especially for the Friday night, Saturday night crowd.
Definitely so. Definitely.
The Friday night Natty Light crowd.
That's funny.
Well, it sounds like we got Captain Mike Mann on a school of fish because he is talking. He's talking his clients through it right now. Hey, Mike, appreciate you calling in this morning.
Guys, how are you?
Doing good, brother. Doing good. We were just talking with some of the guys, mentioning what some of the guys on the Facebook feed were talking about, and you don't have a problem with people running airboats around your backyard at night. But what about motorcycles at certain times of the year?
Yeah, motorcycles. I mean, I just got a Harley for my birthday, so I'm okay with that. But I prefer, ride them quietly as possible. But when you got nobody wants somebody in your neighbor in your backyard revving their engine, their airboat, their hot rod. I don't care what it is. Their dogs barking get on my nerves.
Here's the difference, Mike. We are now in our 50s. And when, at 52, 55, whatever it is, if you took 52 and you reversed it and it was 25, you'd be all about it. 2 a.m., let's rev the Harley.
Yeah, right.
Even at 25, I think I had a little respect for where I was, The old, I didn't want to poop in my own backyard.
Right, so you were at your buddy's house doing it over there, right?
No, I might come over to your house and rev the heck out of the motorcycle engine.
There you go.
But I wouldn't do it in my neighborhood.
Exactly. You come into your neighborhood coasting. Lights turned off, coasting into the neighborhood.
Exactly. So, well, man, we were having a pretty good tarpon bite this morning. We jumped 3, just released our first bait in the water got eaten.
Right.
We pulled into a spot and they were up on top spinning and tailing and put a bait out there and got hooked up. He just kind of got smart, ran to the back of the boat and did one jump as we were trying to get my angler, John, close enough. And he jumped and had no chance to bow. So we just landed, nice. These aren't huge guys. First was probably 50 pounds, and one we just released was probably 30. So fun size.
And so you've been on the water for an hour and you got 3 bites already. That's not bad for a tarpon trip.
Yeah, not bad at all. Not bad at all. So it's especially if it's a Saturday, it's a little crowded. I got one boat up ahead of me and one over. I mean, there's a lot of boats out here today already.
Yeah. Yeah, I was talking with Captain Mark Gibson, and he said it looked like a fiberglass hatch up towards Dunlawton.
Yeah, I'm sure. It's Father's Day weekend. It's absolutely gorgeous. A lot of people did not get on the water this week based on forecasts, which did I mention that the weather forecast was wrong this week?
Did I mention I'm just going to bill those guys because I had 3 cancellations for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday based on the forecast. And I had guys coming from Tampa, and so it wasn't one of those, hey, I can call you in the morning because you live in Oviedo, and you can be at the boat ramp in 45 minutes. It was one of those, you got to deal with the I-4 issue, and so they were coming over the night before and getting a hotel room. Well, you have to cancel your hotel room so you don't lose the deposit or the room. And so I canceled Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday based on what was supposed to happen. In fact, Friday at noontime, they're in a cloud, hardly a cloud in the sky, and yet they're saying, 80% chance of rain all day. And I'm on TV, and I'm looking at the TV, and I'm just cussing the dude. I'm like, have you even looked outside? Have you even opened the door? Because you're nowhere close. You're nowhere close on this
forecast. The only day up here I got rained on was Thursday, and I was in the bay boat. I was in the Panga, and I looked at the forecast, said 14% chance. I'm like, well, I don't need to grab the rain jackets off the Hell's Bay. I'll just go out in the Panga. It's 14% chance. I've been dealing with 30, 40% chance all week and haven't gotten wet.
Yep.
So literally, and we've had 4 tarpon on. We had one jump in the boat, which was exciting. He was on the line for about 30 seconds and then jumped in the boat. Thank God it was in the Panga.
Yeah.
And then it started raining, and it poured, and it poured, and it poured. And finally, about 9 o'clock, my guys, I said, look, I'm fine, because they looked at the forecast and left their rain jackets in their car. And they're like, yeah, we're done. I'm like, all right, so we headed in. But the one day there was a 14% chance is when it got rained on.
That's about my luck, too, so don't feel like the Lone Ranger.
And it's crazy because, man, it has been a hot tarpon bite this week. I mean, I've been jumping 4 to 6 every day.
That is good numbers. That's really good numbers,
Yeah.
Mike. Now,
Inshore.
mullet,
Inshore, too.
croakers, pigfish, mullet.
Mullet.
Everything's on mullet, okay.
Mullet.
And are you throwing fingerlings? You throwing those 7, 8 inchers?
Fingers up to about 8 inches.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, it's been a lot of fun. So hopefully it continues through the week, but I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't trust the weather guy, but supposedly we're going to have a lot of northeast winds and north winds for the next 6 days, but who knows?
Gotcha. Yeah, I was looking at that, and all of my offshore trips that I have booked for this coming week, offshore and nearshore, are probably going to get rolled back into the lagoon. So,
Yep.
Going to have to try and chase some tarpon around in there. There's been some big jacks in the river too, so that's one of the bonuses. If you do come across one of those schools of jacks, obviously they can eat a 7 or 8 inch bait pretty easily because they're 15 to 18 pound class fish on average.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
That's a lot of fun. Yeah, we've had, the catfish haven't been too bad with the tarpon. The tarpon have been, really very agreeable.
Happy tarpon.
Yeah, happy tarpon. When it's been calm most of the week. It's been light winds just about all week. So.
And are you finding them better on the incoming or the outgoing tide, Mike?
Both. I've had the best bites definitely been on the outgoing because we've had outgoing all morning.
Right.
And so it's definitely been better on that. But that's just because that's what I've been fishing. That's what I've had all morning.
Gotcha. Well, buddy, we are pushed up against our break. How does somebody get a hold of you and get out there and do a little tarpon fishing with Captain Mike Mann?
I've got a couple days open the last week of the month. You can give me a call at 386-295-5991. You go right to my website, fatfishguide.com. Follow me on Instagram, CAPT Mike Mann with 2 N's, and on Facebook, Fat Fish Guide Service, guys. Or you can just call me, 386-295-5991.
Call him up. Get hooked up with Captain Mike Mann. Well, buddy, we appreciate the call in this morning.
Thanks, guys. Get out there and catch a memory.
We're going to.
Hey, Mike.
Thanks, buddy. Hey, we're going to take our next break. We're going to hopefully get another caller on the line here in just a second. Captain Troy Perez was actually just texting me a picture of a lip grab that he's doing right at this moment. So maybe he'll give us a call. But we're going to be right back after this break, so don't go away. This segment of the show is brought to you by Sun State Pest Management. And guess what? It started raining. You know what happens when it starts raining. Here they come. Everything wants to get inside your house. Fire ants want to build nests in your yard. It's one of those things where as soon as that rain kicks off and we start getting our rainy season, here come the bugs. So call Sun State Pest Management. Have them come out and take care of your yard, take care of your house. Keep the bugs outside. Keep them off of your property. That's the main thing. Like my wife, as an example, and I'm sure I'm not the only one here, my wife is highly allergic to stings, bites, things of that nature. So she has an EpiPen that she carries with her. Well, the ants, decided that they're going to move all into the yard this past week. So I'd call Sun State and said, hey, need a little help here. And they came out, whoosh, gone. Fire ants are gone. There was 3 mounds, 1 in the backyard, or 2 in the backyard, 1 in the front yard. That just was the first day we got rain. It was like the very next day. Boom, here they are.
It's been bad the past 2-3 weeks.
Yeah.
My shop's loaded with these little ants. I'm trying to finally got them out last couple of days.
Yeah. And those little teeny ants, they started coming in about a month ago.
Ants.
Yeah, they started coming in about a month ago in the house. Well, that's not where I want you.
No.
You can live wherever you want to live except in my house. I don't need you in my house. So call Sun State Pest Management. Have them come out and take care of your problems. 1-800-781-7378. That's 1-800-781-7378. Have them take care of your pest control issues. You know what? hopefully we'll get a call here in just a second. I think Troy was going to try and call us. He looked like he had a nice lip grab this morning too. You know, Tony, we were talking during the break, and it was like all of a sudden last Wednesday, boom, tarpon showed up. Like there was no tarpon, and now all of a sudden there's tarpon. So, you know, talking with Captain Glenn Austin, he's seeing them down off the beach down south out of Sebastian and Vero. They're in the river. I talked with Captain Alex Huey. There's pretty good numbers of fish in the river down around the Sebastian area. Up in the Sebastian River itself, those fish are kind of more resident fish, but the transient fish, if you will, have kind of included themselves in that grouping. I was talking with Spence Wise. He was catching them in the Indian River around, you know, Melbourne and O'Galley area. Troy's finding them up to the north in the river. Justin, my son, was out last couple of times. Both of us have been out. We've been finding them along the beach. He had one nice one yesterday and put another one in the air. He didn't spend a whole lot of time messing with them. And then Captain Mike Mann up in Mesquite Lagoon. So basically from New Smyrna to Vero Beach last Wednesday, all of a sudden, bang, here they are. They showed up in force. And it's really odd that they just all of a sudden kind of turn up. And yeah, I mean, you'll see one here, one there. Don't get me wrong. It's not like there's no tarpon. But when they come and they show up, it's noticeable.
In the droves.
Yeah, it's noticeable when they show up. So, yeah, so that's.
And are these fish coming out from deeper, you know, near shore, or are these fish running the beach more so? That's
or
the
question.
Mixture,
it's
right. That's what I've always.
So the river fish, I don't
out.
know. You know, you don't really talk to guys that are south of us. You know, down around St. Lucie, Fort Pierce. You don't really hear those guys saying that the tarpon are coming up the river. But there's tarpon in the river. But you see those beach fish. You know, like when I was coming back in Wednesday a week ago, not Wednesday a couple of days ago, but Wednesday a week ago, that's when the tarpon kind of showed up. Those fish were rolling in from offshore. They were actually rolling from, you know, the 60, 70, 80-foot depths, wherever they were at out there. I don't know.
Yeah.
They were rolling to the beach on that particular day. So when you see them going due west, you know they're coming to the beach looking for
a reason with a purpose. Yeah.
And they're moving. They're in transition. They're not just lazing around. They are going. It's like I got to get there kind of thing.
Gotcha.
So sounds like we got a caller on the line. Is that Troy? Troy Perez. Troy Perez is joining us on the line this morning. Nice picture, buddy. I appreciate you texting that to me. That's a nice little lip grab you got there.
Oh yeah, we've had one shot and we got them. That's all. But we haven't seen any more. I don't know where they're all at. There's a lot of people looking for them. But
now, are you beach fishing or are you river fishing today?
Oh, I'm on the beach. It was right next to the beach.
Gotcha. Yeah, Justin was down south yesterday and got on a pretty good group of them between Patrick Air Force Base and Melbourne Beach. So he said it was a good solid knot of them down there.
Yeah, I think that's where we might be running because I've only seen that one good school, and we got in front of it and threw a bait, and we hooked up instantly.
Now,
You got 1 for 1.
Are they running in strings like they had been earlier in the week?
Yep.
Okay, so
Yep.
they're running in
Yep.
strings. They're not groups. They're just strings of fish.
Oh yeah, yeah. If you don't find them, I mean, like we haven't seen one in a long time. You got to just be in front of them.
Yep.
But they ate as soon as we threw at them.
I love happy fish. Happy, hungry, dumb fish. That's the best kind.
Oh yeah, sure.
Always.
There's actually quite a few people out here fishing for them. I was surprised. I don't even know where they all came from because I was out at daylight and all these people must have passed me in the dark.
Father's Day, they all got permission this weekend.
They got their
permission.
They got their kitchen pass, didn't they?
Yeah.
You can go tarpon fishing because it's Father's Day.
Yeah. Get your 1 weekend a year. You're welcome.
You know what they were all doing last night? They got off work and they were all cutting
Making
grass.
dinner. And, yeah.
They were
That's
cutting
what
grass.
I did yesterday. Yeah. That guy might have one on right there. That guy, there's a boat right here. Just jumped one, I think.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yep.
How's the bait this morning?
I bought it. I bought croakers.
Got
I don't
croakers.
know. I didn't see. I see the turbos and I see them little leatherbacks.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's all I've seen for bait. I mean, there's like, I'm not even marking it.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know if them guys got the pogies or not, but I just bought brokers.
Gotcha.
A little easier that way.
Yeah. Well, and it's a good way to kind of start the day too. Is that you get that first hour or so of fishing, and you've got bait in the well, and you're not running around chasing bait. You're actually fishing instead of wasting that golden opportunity of that first light bite, if you will.
Oh yeah.
Then once the pogies pop up, you can always go net some later.
And it looks like they might, the charter boats might have found the pogies, but that looked like turbos. But that's what they look like. They're all on the tip looking for. There's a pile of boats on the tip looking for bait. That must be all the charter boats trying to get it.
Yeah. All right, buddy. Well, good job this morning. You already put one to the boat. What do you think he weighed? Around 75, 80 pounds, or was he a little bigger?
Probably about that big.
Yep. That's
some good jumps.
Yeah, that's a great photo you just sent. Appreciate you forwarding that. Well, you know what? We got to get you back in here on the studio sometime soon. But until then, how does somebody get a hold of you and do some charter fishing with you?
Just give me a call. 321-607-2033.
The one and only Captain Troy Perez, gang. You guys get a chance to fish with him, you should. Appreciate the call this morning, Troy. Hopefully you'll find a couple more Silver Kings to throw some baits at.
All right, Jim. Thanks. I appreciate it.
All right, buddy. Take care. Hey, gang, we're going to take our next break. When we come back, we got more with Captain Tony Summers and myself, Jim Ross, after these messages, so don't go away. This segment of the show is brought to you by Engel Coolers. If you haven't checked out their new Ultralight 60, you need to check it out. Brand new concept, lightweight, high-performance cooler with some really unique features in it. It's got slanted grates in the bottom, yet the floor is level. So the channeling, those little channels that are in the bottom allow the water to drain off, but yet all of your things that you have stacked on top of it still stay standing up if you want them to stand up. They don't lean over like they do on a lot of the other high-performance coolers. So really unique features there. They've got some, a lot of other things that they've kind of added into it. Plus the styling looks really cool. So check them out at engelcoolers.com. And there's tons of other stuff for there for you guys and gals to check out too. So as you know, I'm a big fan of their little bait cooler this time of the year. That little thing keeps your shrimp going, and it's a whole lot better than having them turn pink in the live well because the water's so hot right now. So engelcoolers.com. You guys and gals are going to be impressed with what you see there. Captain Tony Summers is my special guest this morning. For those of you that are just tuning in, we appreciate it. I was looking at the Facebook feed. Got a lot of guys this morning listening in, and we appreciate the comments and the support that you guys and gals are giving. Tony, a lot of these guys were talking, Danny Gomez was talking about throwing a frog,
Mm-hmm.
And so I have not thrown a lot of frogs. I grew up in the era of the Pop R, the head and tiny torpedoes, little prop bait.
Well, it was the
devil
hard
horses.
Bait era, right?
Yeah, it was the hard bait era, and we just didn't have a lot of these high performance soft plastic baits that they have
just
now.
all the new plastics.
I look at these frogs now, and it's like, daggum. I mean, they're popper heads or slider heads, and double hooks and big beefy hooks, trailer tails.
There's blades on the back of a couple called Teckle.
Really?
Those are ones I don't share a lot. That's one of my favorites.
Oh, you let a little secret out.
Yeah,
Let a little secret out there.
I actually make my own too. Yeah, it's pretty neat. Yeah, there's a bunch of different variety of stuff. There's the Live Target makes one that looks like a bluegill on its side that you can throw.
And kind of walk the dog with it. I've seen that. Yeah. That's a big fish bait though.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not your average fish is going to look at that and go, "No, I'm good."
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a quality over quantity type.
Yeah, but that
bait.
you throw that thing all day. The bites you do get are going to be good quality bites.
Sure.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
That is cool. So, we were talking about low water conditions, schooling conditions. The first thing in the morning, if a guy's going bass fishing this time of the year, obviously, you want to be there at the crack of midnight almost. But but you want to be there at first light. That seems to be
right now,
the time to be there because it's going to get warm.
You better be on the water before 6.
Yeah.
Get out there, get your spots ready. Yeah, because there's even some mornings now that we'll have a small shad spawn.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
From time to time, certain spots, yeah. If the conditions are right, yeah, certainly can.
And is that based on water temperature or just moon phase? What's or all of the above?
A little bit of like, seems like a little bit of the wind, but based off the moon phase too. And then also the conditions of certain areas because they feed off the algae in the hydrilla or in the Kissimmee grass. So certain areas, if they've been sprayed, it has been sprayed, things like that, but then the conditions line up with the environment that's there for the shad to eat and conditions for them to spawn in. Then if everything kind of lines up, at least this late in the summer,
now
they'll still
I know
spawn,
we're kind of shifting gears real quick here, but what about the golden shiners? What about shiners? I mean,
there's really no way to like pattern them that I've ever found. I mean, you can follow the white stakes at the shiner catcher.
Yeah, the shiner
fish
catcher
around
guys.
the white stakes, wherever they throw their gas nets at. But there's really no rhyme or reason to that I've ever figured out. Somebody might have figured out where.
Gotcha.
But typically around Kissimmee grass, normally, is where you're going to find them. Okay. But more so just areas where it's been baited up before, where you'll find the white stakes of the guys who actually catch them, where they're around. Typically like a Kissimmee grass patch that doesn't have any other vegetation around it, where they can throw their net and not catch a bunch of grass.
Yeah.
So those are the areas where they're going to kind of congregate to.
Now, you just mentioned spraying a minute ago. Obviously, myself and friends of this show are I would call us anti sprayers. Okay, we are not impressed when we see the spray boats.
And I figured this was going to get here at some point.
And
yeah.
and so as an example, they sprayed the marsh in the middle of duck season this year. And it's like, why would you do that? That makes no sense.
It doesn't.
So you've got guys out in the marsh trying to duck hunt, and you go in and you nuke an entire section of the marsh
for no reason.
Well, yeah, exactly. It just I don't understand. And one guy, actually, Jack Berry, local Rockledge boy that grew up here. I was talking with Jack at the Indian River Clam Restoration. No, it wasn't at the Indian River Clam Restoration. It was at one of the bass tournaments. One of the local bass clubs has put on. I went to their event, and I was talking with Jack, and Jack's like, "Yeah, I was out there on Wednesday. I was on a good solid bite. Tuesday, I was on a good solid bite. Came back Wednesday, just kind of trying to fine tune everything." And he says, "There's a guy in an airboat out there just fire hosing down everything, fire hosing the willows." He said he sat there for 5 minutes spraying a palm tree.
Really?
And Jack was
just
like,
blowing through
"What are you
chemical.
doing?" Yeah. He's like, "What are you doing? Why are you trying to kill the palm tree? Why are you spraying a palm tree with herbicide?" And the guy's like, "Can't show back up at the dock with any product in the tank."
Yeah.
So, I mean, that kind of mentality.
That's their That's
just
their
makes
mindset.
How are you protecting Florida's resources when your mindset is, I have to show back up at
They
the
just
dock?
treat our environment like a business.
Yeah.
And a budget.
Why do I show back up why do I have to show back up at the dock completely empty? Why? That's the success or failure point, is whether the tank is full or
how
empty.
much they're spraying.
Yeah, it makes no sense. Anyway, so going back to the spraying, whenever you see an area that's sprayed, obviously there's a fallout, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
All of the fish that were there then get pushed. So because our, Florida Wildlife Conservation Commission and others, St. John's Water Management District, South Florida Water Management District, because these entities continue spraying, there's got to be a pattern that you can look at to say, okay, they're going to come spray, or they did spray. Where's my next best option? There's got to be a fallout area, I'm thinking, the same way we would have a cold water upwelling, and it's pushing the fish on the edge, on that front edge of the cold water upwelling. And if you're on that edge, it's fantastic. If you're behind that edge, you're in no man's land. You're catching nothing. So is that kind of a true assessment or not?
To predict it, per se,
Okay.
where they're going to spray, because you don't really know. But you can at least pattern in the sense of, okay, I was doing this in this area before. Where else can I find that same scenario and duplicate it if my previous spot had been sprayed? So you kind of, I tell customers that all the time, 3 or 4 times a year, we're changing spots, changing areas because it got sprayed. Yeah. And it's not going to go away. The hydrilla is not going to go anywhere unless they do something drastic, and I don't foresee that happening anytime soon. So you're just having to just deal with that situation. Okay, this area got sprayed, the fishing's going to be dead there. But then now I got to find some other areas.
Do you see that area that got sprayed though? Do those fish, when they get displaced,
they will?
Do they push to? Well, I mean,
it depends on the area. So now if it's
like, yeah, it's kind of hard to generalize.
If you guys have
something.
been on West Lake Toho, a lot of it's 3/4 of the lake is topped out right now.
Right.
Some areas are getting sprayed, some aren't. But there's a lot of other scenarios for, say, as far as deep water grass or vegetation, to find other areas. If that particular area that you found fish in before, was holding fish and it got sprayed, so maybe move out from it to find green grass. So just move away from that area that got sprayed until you find green, crispy hydrilla again.
Well, that's the one thing that I was going to say is I notice on a very small scale on my little backyard pond. Okay, it gets nuked twice a year. They come in and dump stuff in it and turn it chocolate brown, and then right about the time it starts to clean up and the vegetation starts to regrow in it, I notice, of course, the hydrilla and the other vegetation pull the nutrients out of the water, and so the water starts to get clearer. And I notice that if they haven't done a stellar job of nuking it on the previous cycle, that when the grass comes back and actually starts to grow, it seems like the fish go to where the grass is growing the fastest, if you will. So like hydrilla, you'll see the hydrilla start to grow, and if there's a sprig or two, you don't really see much. But if there's a clump of it and it's growing, and you go back and you look at it tomorrow and you look at it the next day, it's amazing how quickly it does actually grow.
Well, it grows almost an inch a day.
Yeah, it grows fast.
Almost an inch a day.
But when it gets a good run going, if you will, it gets a good growth spurt going, all of a sudden the fish show up all around it. So that greener, healthier, newer growth seems like it's what the fish want to be around. Is there a way that you can? I mean, can you
determine that?
Can you determine that in a lake like Toho?
I mean, what I look for when I can just show up to the lake and look at an area and say, hey, this is probably going to be better than others. But I'm gonna look for the birds is the first thing for me, because wherever the white birds are or the cormorants are at, that's where the bait's at. First thing, just visual. That's at least where I'm going to start.
That's what I do. I'm running down the lagoon system.
100%.
Yeah, and I look for where are the herons, where are the pelicans. Seagulls kind of come in third because you don't know if they're kind of like flying trash pandas. They will get over bait fish at times or shrimp at times, but a lot of times they're somebody was running across the lagoon in the morning and dropped a pack of crackers or their Lay's potato chip bag blew open or something, and so they're working that. They're not necessarily working something that's valuable to me as a fisherman.
Probably the wind would be another factor too. Say, as an example of offshore grass, I'm going to fish a certain patch of hydrilla or a certain part of it based off the wind as well.
Leeward side or windward side?
Windward side.
Always windward?
At least in the morning.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it just depends. I might start at least on the windward side. It just depends on.
See, that's the discussion. Like Mike Mann and myself, Troy Perez and myself. That's the discussion that we'll have. We're fishing in, let's say, the northern Mosquito Lagoon around Oak Hill, and you've got a lot of islands and things. And Michael called me and say, "Hey, is that you down there?" "Yep, that's me." And he's like, "What are you seeing?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm finding them on the leeward edges today." And he's like, "Okay, me too." So you can kind of compare notes, but then sometimes I'll say, "Well, I'm windward points," and he's like, I can't get bit there, and then I'll tell him what I'm throwing, and he's like, "Okay, well, this is what I'm throwing." And so once again, it's always nice to have a sounding board you can compare notes.
Oh, certainly.
But it's interesting that sometimes your pattern doesn't necessarily match up with the other guy's pattern, but it's all based on what it is you're trying to throw.
And how you're throwing it sometimes.
Yeah. Retrieve speed. Yeah. Obviously, has a lot to do with it. Mike and I fish very similarly with small paddle tails. I like, and certain times of the year, especially in the springtime, I like the straight tail baits too. The little 3-inch Shad Assassin is money in my book. And it's funny, I throw the baby bass color, salt and pepper, or the gold pepper shiner. Those three,
really,
depending on water clarity and light availability. But it's really funny. And if I'm chasing tarpon, I go straight with the alewife, which is sort of a pearl white, because they really, really key in on that. The snook do too.
Look.
Yeah, they do. But anyway, yeah, so it's interesting that I'm sure you've got a couple of guys out there that you're working with, and you can use them as sounding boards as well to see
there's a few guys I trust.
If your pattern's working for you or not. Yeah, it's you to get in the inner circle takes a little bit, because it
takes time to learn who you can trust.
Yeah,
with certain information you've learned for years, or something maybe you just learned that might carry this pattern or this spot for another month.
Yeah.
But yeah, who can you share it with, or who can you ask? Who you can call that is going to tell you truthful information too.
Yeah,
you can get information from anybody, but is it right information or not?
Yeah,
so sometimes that's something to think about.
That is the truth. That is the truth. Well, guys and gals, our first hour is gone. Catch Your Memories coming back with a whole nother hour with Captain Tony Summers and myself, Captain Jim Ross. So don't go away. We're going to be right back after this message. Hey, guys and gals, welcome back. Appreciate you tuning in every Saturday right here to Catch Your Memory Outdoors. This is the second hour of the show. And for those of you guys and gals that are watching on the Facebook feed, we appreciate y'all tuning in and appreciate a lot of the comments that you guys and gals give. We really, really like to during the break. So Tony and I kind of go through some of them, and we really appreciate you guys and gals getting involved with the show on the Facebook feed. For those of you that are listening on the radio or on CatchAMemoryOutdoors.com, thank you very much. We appreciate you tuning in on those formats as well. I'm Captain Jim Ross, and if you're just joining the show, we've got Captain Tony Summers in here. We've been talking a little bit of freshwater. We've been talking a little bit of saltwater. We've had some tarpon reports going on this morning, which is a good thing here on the Space Coast. It's always good when the tarpon show up. Tony, so you just brought my boat back over to me. You've had my boat for a week now, and I'm the kind of guy, I have to have my equipment working. It has to work. And when it doesn't work, I get aggravated. Okay? And I know we all get aggravated because you think that your stuff is supposed to last forever. And I'm that guy that I'm like, well, I'm spraying it down with this, and I'm using that, and I'm doing this, but sometimes it's like, well, is that actually the right thing to be doing? So, like, as an example, I'll open my console up, and I'll spray the entire inside of the console down with the hose to try and get any kind of salt residue or anything like that out of it. If it's getting some mold or mildew in there, I'll spray some mold and mildew cleaner in there, rinse that all out, open the thing up, try and let it air dry. Try to keep things clean, neat, as possible.
Mm-hmm.
But there comes a point. I mean, my boat's coming up on 3.5 years old now. It's got at least, good grief, it's got probably right at 800 days on the water at this point in the last 3.5 years. So after 800 trips, things start to wear out. Things start to get corroded. There's nothing lasts forever, even though you want it to, and you think it should in your mind. In my mind, I'm thinking this is supposed to be a saltwater proof, blah, 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 and it should last forever and ever. Amen.
Spend all this money.
But that's just not the case. It's just not the case. Even as much as I try to do in my mind that I think is the right thing, sometimes you have to go through, and like you did, and go through the boat and just start pulling out pieces and putting new pieces in to replace them. And so let's talk a little bit about my particular scenario, because I try to keep myself, I try to keep my boat in good shape if I can.
And just staying up on the maintenance and things like that. And,
yeah.
I mean, the biggest thing I tell everybody is keeping your compartments aired out and dry. Is the best thing you can do. Is if you've got 24 hours, put a fan on it and let it dry out. that's the best preventative maintenance to mildew and mold and corrosion on the batteries and in the bilge compartment, in the console, things like that, is just keeping it aired out. But not everybody has that scenario where they can keep it covered in a garage, things like that, and keep a fan on.
Yeah, so as an example,
so that's the best case
in my
scenario.
case, so trying to keep my boat dried out, I am an incredible mold and mildew farmer. I am fantastic at growing mold and mildew inside of my boat because I get up in the morning, it's moist. I take the boat out all day, it's moist. I come back home at the end of the day, I wash everything down, it's moist. And then it normally rains in the afternoon this time of the year, so it stays moist. So there's no, and my boat's outside. So even though on the days that I can open my hatches, or the times that I can open my hatches to try to let it dry, I still don't get a complete drying cycle, if you will, because of the frequency at which I'm running and the location in which I'm keeping the boat stored. So I think that's part of the issue with my particular boat. But after 3.5 years, it was like, okay, it's time. We need to swap parts. Tell you what, let's hold on to that thought. We got Captain Matt Lee calling in this morning from the Mosquito Lagoon. What's going on this morning, Matt?
Good morning, gentlemen. How are you?
Doing good, buddy. Doing good. We're talking boat maintenance right now, and in my particular case on my Skeeter. But what's going on the Mosquito Lagoon this week?
Oh man, we're still had a little bit of a slow trout bite. Bait's been hard to get, but you can still catch reds, and there's a few blade drum mixed around up on the south end down there, and then once you get up in the north where you can throw some shrimp, there's been some nice mangrove snappers been caught lately, and I'm thinking 17, 18 inches.
Oh wow, those are nice. Yeah.
Yeah, for our river, it's been pretty cool.
Those are really nice
It's
mangroves.
been pretty good. Yeah, they're not you're not going to find a whole bunch of them, but there are some around. So
Now, Matt, when you're targeting
when
you're targeting a big mangrove snapper like that, a big inshore mangrove snapper like that, are you just throwing the same baits that you were throwing for the small mangroves? Because there's all those 8-9 inchers that you'd ever want if you put a shrimp over the side next to a dock or next to some rocky ledge area. You can find a lot of those smaller ones that will just peck your bait to death. Are you doing something different to specifically target those bigger fish, or is it just by chance?
Most of it's by chance, but if I know that there's some around, then I'll try to get maybe a small pinfish, a very small pinfish, pigfish, croaker, any kind of little bitty bait fish I can put down there where the 8-9 inchers won't hit it, but the big ones will.
Gotcha. Yeah.
It's kind of like trial and error till you find where they kind of want to be.
Yep. Well, it's kind of the same thing you would do with a small trout versus a big trout. The small trout will hit your 4-inch paddle tail all day long, but if you get tired of that, you put on a 5-inch or a 6-inch lure, and then all of a sudden you start to eliminate a lot of those smaller fish. Your bites slow way down, but the quality of the fish gets better.
But that's the same way with the big skitter walks. When you go smaller skitter walk to the bigger skitter walk, you tell your clients, well, you're not going to get that many bites on this one, but you're going to get the good bites on this one.
Yeah, you're going to get that right bite.
Yeah.
And you were saying there's still some drum around?
Yeah, there's a few drum around still. I don't know why, but they're still here. And they are, the ones I've been finding, they've been hungry. They have been eating chunk pigs, they've been eating chunk mullet, they've been eating chunk croakers, they've been eating crabs. I mean, they will eat anything you can put in front of them right at this moment in time. But to get a shrimp in front of them is kind of impossible with all the peckerfish out there.
Yeah.
So you got to go with the chunk something.
Well, that's interesting, though.
Good ones too.
It's interesting that the drum are eating cut baits, though. You think of them more as a mollusk or shellfish type of a diet, and so it's kind of interesting that you are getting them to bite some of those other cut baits.
Well, it just seems to me. I mean, to me, it kind of indicates they got to be really hungry. Not just one eating it, two eating it. Everybody's eating it. And I don't know. It's crazy because I've only ever caught a couple through the years. Only ever caught a couple on chunk, and then this past year, I don't know. I just kind of came across them and I was like, I got nothing but a chunk mullet, so I might as well try it. And then all of a sudden it was like, wham, bam, yeah, thank you. Okay, the next day we'll go do the same thing.
You know what? Just be thankful.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you can do. Be thankful that you found some fish that are happy and want to eat, because you know when those black drum get squirrely, they run around like a sprayed roach, and you can't hardly get within casting distance of them. You know.
You know, I do feel lucky, Jim, and I will say they have been participating for me pretty dang good, and so I'm definitely like giving them an applause. So, definitely for sure. They'll at least let me get a couple really good ones out of there before they start getting all swirly-ish. So,
Gotcha.
But it's been good.
Well, buddy,
I heard y'all were talking about the grass on the lakes over there, huh?
Yeah, we were talking about some of the hydrillas being topped out. You know, it's gotten to that point of the year where it's been growing pretty good so far, and Tony was saying that you gotta kind of run around and find the birds. When you find the birds, you seem to find the fish. So it's kind of like what we do, you know, along the shorelines.
Oh, for sure. The only question I had was, because I was listening to you earlier and I wanted to call and ask, is now do you ever go up to Lake George?
I used to a
Or
bunch,
do you know
but I don't as much anymore. Ever since that hurricane we had in 17 that came through and ripped up all the eelgrass, I don't go up there as much. But now they're actually starting to replant the eelgrass. There's a few groups that are out there, up and down the river, that are planting the eelgrass. So the next couple of years are going to be really good.
And
I was just curious because my uncle used to duck hunt there, and said the duck hunt was really good. And he said, and then they came in and sprayed, like you guys were talking about, and they killed all the duck habitat, whatever they sprayed.
There was hydrilla he was fishing over?
There's not a duck up there.
Huh.
So.
It's probably from the eelgrass dying or getting ripped up. There's just no more food for
Probably.
them. But over the next few years, it'll grow back.
Yeah.
It'll
right
get good again.
well, buddy,
Hopefully it does.
how does somebody get a hold of you if they want to do some fishing with Captain Matt Lee?
Give me a call, 386-214-3530. I got a couple days open next month. I can get you in.
Awesome, buddy. Code Red Fishing Charters, Captain Matt Lee. We appreciate the report from Mosquito Lagoon this morning.
Hey, happy Father's Day to y'all, and good luck.
All right, you too, brother. You too. All righty, we're going to take our next break, gang. When we come back, we got a whole lot more Catch a Memory right after this message with Captain Tony and myself, so don't go away. Hey, guys and gals, welcome back. We appreciate you tuning in every Saturday right here to Catch a Memory Outdoors. Want to let you know this segment of the show is brought to you by Petrucci Insurance. Now, if you're like me, you don't like paying for insurance, but you have to. So it's one of those things where you have to say, okay, I want to make sure that since I'm having to give this company all this money, and then they're going to try and make sure that they don't give it back to me because, you know, that's how they stay in business. But I want to make sure that I'm getting the best possible coverage for the amount of money I'm spending. So you call an independent agent like Petrucci Insurance. So what the guys and gals, Don and Virginia and everybody at Petrucci does, they shop around and they find you the best coverage for the best price. And they've got some fantastic lines. They do a really good job of saving you money. Or if you're seeing that, you know, hey, you know, this is way more than what I want to be spending, they kind of look at your coverage and go, okay, well, are you properly covered? Because a lot of the insurance companies out there, let's just put it this way, they're not your friend. They're in your pocketbook. That's all they care about. They don't care about you. They don't care about what it is that you want them to cover. What they care about is you giving them money and them not having to hopefully give any of it back because you don't make a claim. That's what insurance companies thrive on. So it's kind of like gambling, except there's no win for the guy on there's no win for us. You know, if we don't use the insurance, there's no win. We just gave away thousands of dollars for whatever it is that we're trying to insure. So call Petrucci. They're going to make sure that you're not over covered and you're not overpaying for the coverage that you currently have. 321-632-1200. That's 632-1200. Do what I did. Let them help you save some money. Let them help you refine your coverages so that you're actually covering what you need covered and you're not over covered or under covered for the particular thing that you're trying to insure. That's what they do day in and day out right there at Petrucci Insurance. So call them, 321-632-1200. Tell them you heard about it right here on Catch a Memory Outdoors. Hey, we're going to go to the phone lines. We've got Jaden from LambDeck calling in. Good morning, Jaden.
Good morning, gentlemen. How you doing?
Doing great, buddy. Doing great. You know, we started off the show and I was talking about how much I enjoy standing on my deck all day long now that I've got some EVA non-skid from LambDeck on it. And so I wanted to have you call in and see, you know, just kind of talk for a couple of minutes about the process. If somebody wants to bring their boat to you, what's the process that you go through to make sure that you give them a incredibly well-fit product that then is going to make their boat a whole lot safer and a whole lot more comfortable to be on every day?
Yeah, absolutely. Quick rundown of that whole process. Obviously, we have customers that will contact us and have them bring their boats to our location. And when they show up, we go over from head to toe, you know, the areas they want covered, the colors, designs, you know, from start to finish of the entire decking job.
Mm-hmm.
As that breaks down, then we will custom measure every single square inch of their boat, and that measurements, they get brought into a computer and get drawn up, so everything is perfect down to the, you know, nanometer of precision. And once we have the designs that they, you know, liked, or the logos that they liked, we send over that proof to the customer, and 99.9% of the time they are super happy, super ecstatic. And then we cut it out right there in our shop. Everything is done in-house, so there's no waiting for anything. And once it's cut, it is expertly put onto their boat, and we call up the customer, tell them it's done, and they are super happy when they come and pick it up. It is a changing experience, completely changes the boat, the feel from, you know, when it got brought off the fiberglass to having LambDeck on it. It's a night and day difference.
It truly is. It truly is. And that, you know, that those measurements that you guys are taking, are you doing that was like a laser measurer, or how are you doing that with your whole computerized system that you have?
Yeah, so it's essentially just like measuring with a laser. It's a, you know, box that has a really fine-tuned measurement instrument. So, you know, it's about the size of a bread box, and so we can transport that all over the boat. Very portable and very, very precise. So we're able to go through every curve, every hatch handle, you know, every cleat, all the way through and through to where once a foam gets laid on the boat, everything is perfect around objects to where it looks amazing.
Yeah, I know on my 2350 Skeeter, the way that you guys have gone around the rod holders and the cup holders and the deck, the flush mounted deck cleats, and just all of the little things that you guys have been able to do. It looks like it was made as part of the boat. It's really an impressive, you know, it's an impressive system that you guys have. So now let's say that a guy doesn't have a trailer and can't bring his boat to you, but wants to have this done. Are you portable? Can you go to them? Let's say they're on a boat lift in Cocoa Beach or Satellite Beach or something. Do you have the ability to go to them and measure their boat?
100%. So that machine that we use to measure is completely portable. So it can be anywhere. We could go, you know, all the way from Cocoa Beach to Miami. It doesn't matter. We cover the entire state. So that machining and that measuring process, completely portable. You know, we've done a lot of larger boats, you know, liveaboards, cruiser, that kind of things. Obviously, those are totally not trailerable.
Right.
So
right.
Going to a marina, that's not a problem. We do it all the time.
All right, buddy. Well, hey, man, I really appreciate you calling in and kind of give us an update on the capabilities that you have there at LambDeck. How does somebody get in touch with you and get this product applied to their boat?
Yeah, absolutely. So right now, obviously, your listeners are from all over. We have multiple locations. So the Titusville location here for the local folks, owner's name is Tom. He's a great guy. His phone number is 321-505-4888. Visit us on any of our Facebook pages, Instagram pages. We'll definitely get a hold of whoever you need to get a hold of, and we will help you out and transform your boat.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for the call this morning, Jaden. Appreciate it very, very much. And thank you for putting the EVA non-skid on my boat. That Lamb deck is a fantastic product.
Absolutely. I appreciate you guys, and I appreciate your time.
All right, buddy. Take care. Hey, gang, we're going to do the catch conditions real quick before we take our next break. And then we're going to be talking a whole lot more with Captain Tony Summers. So we've got today we've got variable winds at 5 miles an hour becoming northeast to east at 5 to 10 by this afternoon. It absolutely looks gorgeous on the water today. I mean, for everybody that does get out there and actually can find a parking spot at the boat ramp, they're going to enjoy the heck out of today because it's a pretty day. Seas inside of 20 miles are supposed to be 1 to 2 feet with a dominant period of around 7 seconds. Right now, Ponce Inlet buoy, the 13-mile buoy, was 82-degree water temp, 2 foot at 6 seconds. The 4-mile buoy out of Canaveral was 81-degree water temp, 1 foot at 7 seconds. The 20-mile buoy was 2 feet at 6 seconds, same water temperature at 81 degrees. And then the 6-mile buoy out of Fort Pierce, for some reason it's a little cooler down there, 77-degree water temp instead of 80 or 81 or even 82. And but seas are still 1 foot at 7 seconds. So the entire East Coast looks like it's just as calm as it can be right now. Looks like the western edge of the Gulf Stream is around 42 nautical miles due east of Ponce, 28 due east of Port Canaveral, and 24 due east of Sebastian Inlet. And the surf temps, Ponce Inlet, 81 degrees, Cocoa Beach, 82 degrees, and Sebastian Inlet, 79 degrees. Tides look like this. We've got a low tide coming up here in just about an hour, a little less than an hour. Low tide at Port Canaveral at 9:18 a.m., a high at 3:46 p.m., and a low again this evening at 9:54 p.m. And then tides at Sebastian Inlet, 9:41 a.m. is the low, 3:40 p.m. is the high, and 10:05 p.m. is your low. And the best times to go hunting and fishing, presented by All About Archery. The major lunar table is from 7:35 to 9:35 p.m. Actually, we're in one this morning right now till about 9 o'clock. But the next one coming up is going to be 7:35 to 9:35 this evening, so right at dusk. And then the minor this afternoon is from about 2:08 to about 3:08 p.m. And it's time for you guys and gals to get out there and catch some fish. We're going to take our next break. When we come back, Captain Tony Summers and myself, Jim Ross, are going to have a whole lot more Catch and Memory coming right back at you. So don't go away. We're going to be right back after this break. Welcome back. It's time for the Starbright Cleaning Solutions segment of the show. And Tony, do you ever use any of the Starbright products?
I certainly do.
So let's go with the guest's recommendation for his favorite product this week. What does Captain Tony like to use out of the Starbright products the best?
What are we doing?
Anything. Of course, they've got 947,000 things to choose
Probably,
from.
I know. Probably my best all around to do a little bit of everything is the deck wash. It can wash the truck. It's really good at getting stuff up.
Yeah, that non-skid
if I want to
deck
get
cleaner.
something up and make it white again, is the whole cleaner.
Yep,
100%.
So it's kind of funny that every time I ask one of my co-hosts, "What's your favorite?" there's never one. There's never just one. It's always like, but this one, and then I also like it always leads
multiple.
There's 4 or 5
multiple pieces
things.
complement
like
each other too.
You can't go without these 4 or 5 things. Like you say, the hull cleaner keeps the stains off the deck. If you got something super heavy, if you got grease, the Extreme Clean, the Ultimate Extreme Clean lifts those greasy smears and things. Like the commercial says, those suspicious stains your brother-in-law always seems to leave on your boat.
Yeah.
The non-skid deck cleaner for just general thorough cleaning, and then the wash and wax on top of it. I'll tell you one of the things that I have really started to use, and at first I was kind of like, man, I don't know, and there's not many products in the Starbright lineup where you use it and you're kind of like, I don't know if this. So I'm using this new ceramic technology boat wash, okay, and I'm a suds guy. And I know I've been told 100 times, the amount of suds makes no difference to how the product cleans. Okay,
Still makes us feel better.
There's
right?
no correlation. But when I see suds, I'm thinking, hey, man, I'm cleaning the boat. I'm getting it done. And this stuff does not soap up at all. I mean, it doesn't foam up at all. But what's weird about it is, or what's interesting, about it is the ceramic technology boat wash that they just recently brought out. So I've used the deck cleaner, I've used the deck wax, let's say, and I'm just needing a light cleaning, because when you put the deck wax down, you don't have to do a whole lot to it to get things to get clean again. But this ceramic technology is interesting in that the more I use it, the better or easier the boat seems to clean up. And the way that it was explained to me, just in brief, I mean, I haven't gone in depth in it, is that the ceramic particles adhere to whatever the surface is. And the more you use it, the more ceramic particles adhere to it. And so you rinse off the quote-unquote soap, but the ceramic kind of still sticks, and it leaves a protective coating. It's kind of like the PTFE in some of the other products. It stays there. And so what's interesting to me is, things like water spots on your cowling, or blood that gets splashed onto the non-skid or whatever it happens to be. It doesn't take as much to get those things to lift and come off as it does with a traditional wash and wax type soap, I guess you would be. So, for a guy like me, I'm still looking for the foam. I'm still looking for the suds, thinking that, that's, in my mind, that's the way that soap's supposed to work. But this product is actually really neat in that it leaves a barrier, if you will, on whatever you apply it to. And the more you use it, the better the barrier gets. So it's a pretty unique product.
Wow.
And I didn't really realize it until after using it for about a week and a half that it was doing what it was doing, because I was noticing the ease at which the product came up, or the dirt, the fish blood, the different things came up, how easily they came up after using it repeated times.
That's impressive.
Yeah, so it's a pretty cool product. But like you say, how do you choose just one? You can't. It's almost impossible.
I'll have to try that.
It's pretty.
I've been
good
wanting
stuff.
to get my boat, coated for forever. But I'd be interested to try that.
Yeah, it's not like a one shot deal. It's just it's a soap with the ceramic in it, and it just slowly kind of
Builds up that coating.
Yeah, builds the layers on it. So it's pretty neat stuff. Tony, we started off this hour of the show talking about my boat, and my boat's 3.5, going on 4 years old, roughly 800 days on the water at this point. And it needed some stuff. It needed some help. And so your new business, your old business is Fishing Guide. Your new business is repairing and fixing problems like my boat was having. So I'm going along and I'm hitting my trim button and I'm getting like a hesitation, like there's a dead short or something. And I'm thinking to myself, what's going on here? I'm trying to take care of my boat. I'm trying to keep everything in good shape. But when you got into my boat and started digging around in my boat, what are some of the problems that you found with my boat?
Mainly was just all the poor connections, wherever the cables were bolted to post, and that was on the battery and on the circuit breakers as well.
Okay.
And that was they're just dry. So something that I do to help prevent that is to put dielectric grease on everything and covers on top of the post as well, as much as I can. But it's a part of kind of normal maintenance. So especially with you doing as extensive of cleaning as you do and as you should, it washes some of that off. So periodically, maybe every quarter, you should be pulling your battery cables off. All of your connections should be coming off, cleaned, wire brushed. Reapply that dielectric grease, put everything back together as normal. And that should be your normal maintenance if you want to prevent any corrosion issues. It's a lot of extra work. Some of us don't have the time to do it, but it's what's going to prevent and elongate the connections and eliminate most issues that you're ever going to have.
Now what
until
about
a part
like
might fail.
what about cables and wires and things that do get corrosion? Let's say bait well pump. Okay, bait well pump goes bad, and you just have some butt connectors there that weren't properly heat shrunk, and so the corrosion gets onto the wire and then starts to work its way up the wire underneath the plastic.
It works
coating.
into the cable, yeah. And also where it's crimped, if it's a bad connection, it creates resistance, and the resistance creates heat, and then the heat weakens and deteriorates the cable little by little. It just works its way up to the cable to the point where that wire is bad in the part itself from the connector to the pump, and then also towards the boat or the wherever the power is being fed
source,
from.
yeah.
But it also, people don't realize it actually burns more so on the ground side than it does as far as weakening and burning the cable, like the copper strands. It burns it more on the ground side than it does on the power side. People always think it's going to be ruined on the power side on the feed, but it's not. It actually draws harder from the ground side.
So,
but anyways, yeah.
So on my boat, we had ring connectors, we had breakers, they're like the main breakers for the boat, the 60 amp circuit breaker had gotten some corrosion in it, and so it was time to replace it. How often would you recommend the average show listener? Let's say the average show listener runs his boat 24 times a year, twice a month. Okay. How often does he need to have his electrical connections look at them themselves, or have somebody like yourself look at them to make sure that they're in decent shape?
I mean, minimally, I would say every 6 months.
Okay.
Minimally, for sure. I mean, I would say at least every quarter is a good idea, especially if you're one that you're on the boat or around it and using it, from time to time. Keep an eye on things like that, checking those connections.
And obviously, you were saying, letting the boat dry out is a big part of maintenance.
It's huge, yeah. Especially in the console, where you've got fuse panels, backside of switches, things like that are exposed to the salt air, exposed to the moisture that are trapped inside the console. Those are going to be more susceptible to corrosion and failing than any of them if they're not aired out, and if those areas aren't just free of moisture as much as you can. That's the
Is there
best
other than a dielectric grease, is there anything else that you would recommend
There's
putting
some salt
on?
gone sprays
Okay.
that you can spray on. Yeah, there's a multitude of different things that you can spray on. But I like the dielectric grease. Just
Gotcha.
kind of brushing it on, or using the applicator and kind of putting it on there as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now the other thing that we just did a battery swap, because I had Odyssey AGM batteries. I had 3 Group 31, 80 pounds a piece or whatever the flip those things weigh. I had 3 of those, and then 1 house battery, and I was getting interference from my trolling motor showing up in my electronics. So if I turn my trolling motor on, my side scan and down scan was all of a sudden being affected by the trolling motor. Now, you would think they're 2 separate systems, and they shouldn't overlap one another. But in the way that most boats are wired, including the way that my boat was wired before you got a hold of it, that's not the case.
No, so well, in your instance, it was wired or powered through the source that also fed the NEMA system, which is a data transfer system, coming from the engine. So it was receiving RFI from the engine every time it was on. So I mean, that was a double whammy for that. Not only was it on the same battery, your Simrad was on the same battery as as the engine,
as the motor,
so it's but they also shared the same connection. Somebody had just got lazy, and rather than running its own power source, they butt connected those 2 together. So it was a double whammy. But a lot of what we're doing now is we're separating the boat into 3 separate systems, and we're dedicating a battery just to the electronics. Really specifically your fish finders, your depth finders, and also adding any other accessories that don't need to be on the house battery or on the on your cranking battery.
So in the case of mine, I've got a Simrad, and I've got a 12-inch Simrad Evo 3. and it's got the side scan, the down scan, all of that sort of stuff on it. And that's something that I rely on heavily every single day when I fish, is I rely on my GPS and my side and down scan technology to be able to see, am I on the spot? Am I on the fish? I need to know what's going on under the boat that I can't physically see with my eyes. And to have the interference from the trolling motor distorting that was a huge issue in my case. So you took a totally separate battery. Now, the way we've got it operating now, we put in the Abyss 36-volt trolling motor battery and cranking or house battery, but we're not using that as the house battery. We're using that as just the electronics and accessory battery.
Well, there's actually just a dedicated. So your other 12-volt Abyss is now powering just the Simrad.
Just the Simrad.
Yeah.
And then
has its own fuse, its own circuit breaker.
And then
the house battery is now dedicated to just the poles and the pumps and all the other normal electronics.
So
and the lights,
the power pole, the battery, the battery switches that start and stop the power to the main fuse and to the engine, the pumps, the lights, all of those other things are on the cranking / house battery.
Correct.
Which is still an AGM battery. It's a Group 34 Odyssey AGM, which has a high capacity, but you've totally isolated the electronics off to a separate battery now. So there should be no distortion.
Correct.
I should be getting.
So you're going to get zero
incredible
RFI now, but you're also going to get higher voltage, which is going to increase the clarity on the Simrad as well. So you're actually going to get a better picture. You're going to get better readings from your down imaging and from your side imaging now.
So
with that higher voltage.
So I was getting pretty good stuff before. And then I started noticing here in the last month or so, all of a sudden there's a degradation in it. And I didn't know if it was a transducer that had gone bad
that was that increased corrosion. As the corrosion got worse and worse and worse, the voltage connection got less and less and less. So you're just losing power to everything.
So do you think, now we haven't put it back in the water yet, but I was thinking that my shoot through the hull transducer may be acting up as well, because it wasn't wanting to read in shallow water. When I first got the boat, it would read in a foot or two of water. And now it's gotten to the point, or before this retrofit and repair job, it had gotten to the point where I had to be in like 12 feet of water for it to read, 12 feet or more, for it to get any kind of decent reading. I'm not talking about a good reading. I'm just talking about a decent reading.
Yeah.
And if I was in 6 or 8 feet of water, it wouldn't hardly read at all. Like, it was horrible. And so hopefully it's not a transducer that's gone bad. It's hopefully it was just isolating, getting rid of these corrosions and isolating.
Bad connections,
Yeah. Interesting. Well, guys and gals, we're going to take our last break of the day. When we come back, we got a whole lot more with Captain Tony. We're going to be continuing to talk about how you can do things to your boat to make it perform better. Coming right back with Catch Memory after these messages. Hey, guys and gals, welcome back. We appreciate you tuning in every Saturday right here to Catch Memory Outdoors. This is the last segment of the show, so we're not going to be taking any calls on this portion of the show. Got Captain Tony Summers in here, and we're talking about how to make your boat, how to make it operate better, how to make your electronics operate better, keeping the corrosion down, isolating systems. I didn't realize this. Back in the day, I had a John boat that I drug in and out of the back of a pickup truck, and I had a 6-gallon gas tank and about 20 feet of anchor rope with no chain, just to a little mushroom anchor, and a little 9.8 horsepower Ward's Sea King outboard motor that I would lift out of the truck and bolt onto the back of this thing and pull start, hook it up to the 6-gallon jug and pull start. Let me tell you,
come a long way.
Things are a whole lot different than they were back then, if you know what I'm saying. And so when we look at the systems that we have on our boats today, with the new electric steering capabilities of some of the outboard motors, with the down scans, the side scans, the forward scans. I mean, you're putting together systems that honestly look like our control room. People don't know what the control room looks like, but there are monitors and switches and knobs and dials.
There's
stuff
screens
everywhere
on people's boats as big as these monitors.
Yeah. So you're putting together, it looks like the front of an average bass boat these days looks like your local sports bar when you walk into it. There's that many screens.
12-inch screens on the front of a bass boat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you're isolating all of these systems. And one of the things that I found really interesting, Tony, was that you were saying that the higher voltage that the lithium batteries provide versus a AGM battery or a gel battery or a lead acid battery, the lithiums are a full volt. It seems like almost higher in some cases.
Well, it's to the point that it maintains that steady voltage throughout the day too, but also the higher voltage produces a stronger signal, which is also a higher return, which is a better picture. It's a clearer picture. It's not as pixelated. It's more clear. Just a better image in return that you're going to get with that higher voltage. But you're also going to have that same steady voltage throughout the day. With a good charged lithium, you're going to have over 12.5 volts for an 8-hour day.
Gotcha.
Depending on how much you're drawing off of, how much is on the system. But yeah, typically you're going to have well over 12 volts throughout the whole day.
So in my case, I'm running a single SIMRAD with side scan and down scan technology, side scan and down scan imaging on it. I should have absolutely no problem running that thing all day long.
Oh, absolutely not.
Now, let's say that I decide I want to add forward scanning sonar to that. Is that a big deal? Is it?
No. I mean, with the right supply, given the battery's 100 amp hour, you're going to have enough supply to power both devices. For your normal fishing day.
Now, like you say, on some of these bass boats, you've got two 12-inch screens on the bow. Some of them have even a third screen now on the bow of the boat.
I've done 3 this year with 5. 3 in the front and 2 in the console.
5 units
total on the boat, along with forward-facing.
So the $70,000 bass boat motor and trailer package now has $60,000 worth of electronics on it.
Oh yeah. It's not uncommon to have $100,000 worth of boat motor and electronics in the boat. Definitely not uncommon.
Not uncommon at all anymore.
No.
So the way that you are rigging, I kind of wish we had a before and an after picture that I could put up on like the Facebook feed.
I'm gonna have Andrew make a whole reel because I actually had him come and video all of it.
Okay.
So we're gonna have a full reel of it that you can post up.
Okay.
Later.
That would be awesome.
That'd be good before and after.
So what you'll get is you'll say, okay, here's the way that the boat looked beforehand, and some of that was from the factory, and some of that was after the fact, where I
prior rigging from
had a
dealerships,
dealership do this, that, and the other, and then what it looks like now once you got a hold of it, and it looks like mil-spec wiring almost now. I mean, it looks good. It looks really good. I'm so impressed with it. Now, when you're putting these systems in, obviously there's all kinds of lithium batteries on the market. I just happened to go with one particular company that I had faith in after talking with other anglers that have used the product, and they all seem to have good results with it. So I thought it was a good company to pursue and put them in the boat. There's a lot of different companies out there, though. Like I've got Florida Lithium in the Skeeter in the 2350, and you run one or two different kinds.
Battery. It's a Battery USA is the one that I'm running.
Battery USA lithium.
That's what I'm running on my boat, but it's also one that I carry at the shop. But I also carry Astro Lithium as well.
Do you see? I mean, is there a real market difference in that lithium technology from one company to another?
It's all the same. Seems like quite a bit. Some of it seems like what separates some of them from others is the ease of how well the battery works in conjunction with the app, because you can turn batteries on and off now with the app. How easy is it to monitor? But then also the warranty, and then how easy is it, just in an instance where you might need a warranty, how easy is it to get things replaced?
Yeah.
How good is the company, and how well are they going to stand on that warranty? just if something happens or whatever.
Right.
But also now, some guys are complaining, which that's happened for a while, is some of these lithiums will turn off on their own, like they'll go to sleep. But now they're having to put in buttons to allow the battery to turn off or turn on, or to wake the batteries up. But not all the batteries have caught up. Not all the manufacturers have caught up to that. Only a handful of them are starting to put those wake up buttons on there. So it's an issue as far as the batteries, as far as the lithium. Sometimes they'll shut themselves down to not just keep drawing power on their own.
Right.
So
they'll go to sleep after a month or something.
But now there's a handful of them, like Abyss, Battery USA. They've put buttons on the battery where you can wake them up. You press and hold the button for 4 seconds, turns the battery back on. Or in an instance, you want to shut the power down to the battery, you can actually hold it for 10, 11 seconds and shut it back down. So it's nice that they're adding that technology into the batteries and help eliminate future issues. It's just another little step as far as to getting the boat ready for the day.
Yeah.
If need be.
Gotcha. Now, as far as charging capabilities go, because obviously lithium batteries are different than AGMs, gel cells, and lead acid. Is there a different? Do you need to buy a separate? Like, say, I have a Minn Kota charger in the boat. Do I need to buy a separate battery charger, or will it run the lithium batteries off of my standard one that I've already got that's running, say, my lead acid batteries?
The best is to get one dedicated to a lithium, which a lot of manufacturers now have their own chargers that you can purchase with that said battery. But Minn Kota and a handful of others do allow for all 4 different types of battery to charge off of one charger. So you could charge an AGM, a lead acid, or gel cell, or a lithium off of one charger. One of my favorites is the Minn Kota, because you can do that. And even their older chargers, a lot of people don't know, even though it's not the L model for lithium, you can charge off the lithium.
It still has
on that
the right
older Minn Kota, it just won't fully charge it, but it still will charge the battery. Just only charge like 95, 90%.
Well, I tell you what, hopefully you guys and gals have learned a little bit from Tony today. Obviously, I highly recommend, if you have a boat, you have Tony take a look at it, and just go through it, see where you can get some improvements on your connections. And if you want to do a separate isolated system like we did on my boat for the electronics, so that you get the cleanest, clearest possible image, that's what you do every day. How does somebody get a hold of you? Because you're in the Orlando area.
Mm-hmm. Well, as right now, you can call me directly on my cell phone, 321-363-6550. You can look up my website, social media. I'm kind of all over the place right now. Yeah.
Well, you're on there as Captain Tony Summers, but you're also on there as MarineTec with a TEC.
Yeah.
MarineTec.
MarineTec Systems on the website, and also on social media, on Facebook and on Instagram.
Yeah. Captain Tony, it's been way too long since I had you in. I promise we will not let it go this long again. And of course, you've been running bass charters forever, so you're one of the best bass guys around. So if somebody wants to go do a little bass fishing, they definitely need to get a hold of you.
Thank you.
One more time, what's your phone number they can reach you at?
321-363-6550.
Awesome. Thanks so much for coming in today. I really appreciate it. It's been so much fun, listening to you and the knowledge that you have about making my boat a better place for me to go to work in every day, or the average offshore inshore angler to be able to potentially get his boat in better shape than what it's in now. So guys and gals, until next week, do exactly what Captain Tony and I are going to do. Get out there and catch yourselves a member.